Hello, good evening,
Hello, good
everyone.
evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
So
So
sorry we've not been
sorry,
able
we're not
to
done.
meet. Um,
Um,
who has two
who
devices
has
close to each
devices
other? Why is it
to the
echoing?
right
Good evening,
vehicle?
sir.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Agoke,
I go to
Akugu.
I go
Is
to
it echoing from
the
your side?
side.
Good evening, sir.
Please, please mute
Please
yourself.
mute
Thank you.
yourself. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening, everyone.
Agoke,
I
is
go
it
to
you? Please mute
please
yourself.
mute yourself.
Husseini,
You send me.
Husseini.
Send me.
Thank you. It's better now. All right. So, sincere apologies. We've not been able to meet over last Monday, starting from Wednesday. I was at the ICANN Southern Zonal Conference in Port Harcourt. I serve at the technical committee, so it was so difficult for me to host the conference, to double up both as hosting the conference and having the class. When we are hosting conferences, there are lots of meetings and plannings over there. I don't know if any of us here joined the conference. How many are we on the call? 42. We still need up to 50 more. We're always about 90 or 100 on the call. I'm sorry we are starting late as well today. So I'm sure before we start, we would have others join us. Sincere apologies. And I'm also told by my colleague that we did not hold a class. He didn't hold a class on Monday. So that have been a miss, like two classes missed parallel, simultaneously. So we are sorry about that. But in as much as I am very much aware, Phillips and myself, we will try and ensure we cover up the syllables before the exams. Some physical classes in some places are still yet to start, and some that have started, they are going little by little. So a recap of what we've done so far before we continue. Confirm you can hear me. Use the thumbs up to indicate you can hear me. I think the numbers are still increasing. 45 now. We still need 45 more. So before I would go to the topic for today, we are continuing from where we stopped. Esther Bassi, Grace John, I can cite all of you. Edion Senyene, Kanam, Aliyu, Pascal. I can see all of you. Patience, uh, Akinyemi, and the rest of you. Thank you very much. All right, Sani Mohammed. Okay, the numbers are increasing to we're about 50 now, so that's fine. Let me do a recap of what we've done so far on the course before I get to course behavior, where we are going to continue from where we stopped. I'm sure we would have the numbers increased. Okay, so um so far we've started this course with the introduction to management accounting. For some, if you are just joining this course for the first time, the call for the first time, let me just see you indicate. Use indicate by using one emoji to show that you're just joining. Oh, Emporium. And to this, Grace John, to this your first day in the class ever since. I want to know people that are just joining the class for the first time. Rachel, to this your first time. This is interesting. Babatunde, to this your first time. There are plenty. Oh, this is wonderful. All right, so that calls patience, you as well. That calls for let's do a recap from the start of the class, what we've done so far from the start of the class to where we are now. Let's go that way so that we know if we are carrying everybody along and nobody is left behind. So we started the class with an introduction to um, management accounting and accounting itself. We cannot speak about management accounting without talking about accounting. So we introduced that accounting is the process of all those. Counting is an action. It's an action word with the word ing. It's an action word, right? I'm sorry. I used to like keeping it so low. So accounting itself is an action word. It goes with it's an action. So it's the process of identifying, recording, measuring, classifying, verifying, summarizing, interpreting, and communicating financial information. But the one short definition was given by the American Accounting Association. They gave that definition and said that accounting is the process of using the acronym the abbreviation IMC, identify, measure, and communicate. That's the shortest definition that was given by the American Accounting Association. How do we identify accounting information or management information, economic data? How do we measure economic data, and how do we communicate economic data? So the American Accounting Association gave that definition that accounting is the process of identifying, measuring, and communicating economic data to permit users make informed decisions. So we went forward to look at why do we need accounting. Accounting serves a lot of purpose of providing majorly information for management, and we said that the other reasons we need accounting information would be to be able to assess a firm's value, to be able to establish if there are financial controls, fraud, and the rest of it. So, however, there are three basic reasons for us to look for accounting information, and that is for planning, controlling, and decision making. Those are the three basic reasons. And we went forward to look at the difference between data and information. We said data is a raw fact, information is processed. Data could be in form of when you sit down to say what is the timesheet and how can you process grow the information from grow the data into information. That means you process timesheets to bring about payrolls and salary reports, as the case may be. You also might progress receipts, invoices when you process them from data as they were. You now have um, expense reports, as the case may be. So information at the other side is processed data, while data are raw facts that needs to be processed. We looked at the qualities of a good information and we used an acronym. Who can remember that acronym? Who was here on the call when Mr. Philip introduced that acronym to you? The acronym for qualities of a good information?
Accurate.
Accurate. Brilliant.
Accurate.
Good. So we said A
Accurate.
standing for what?
Accurate.
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 And then C standing for what?
Complete.
C standing for what? Say it out.
Complete.
C standing for complete.
Okay. The second C for
Cost efficient.
Cost efficient.
U standing for Funke. Do you want to make yourself
Cost
disappear? So you might be on the road.
effective.
Okay. R standing for
Relevant.
A.
Understandable.
Okay. T.
Relevant.
Timely.
Accessible. Timely. Easy to use.
All good. All good. That shows we have full grips of what we did. So the people that are just joining us, you can just follow up from there. We said those are the qualities. Before we say an information is good, it must have met those qualities. It's accurate, it is comparable, it is cost effective, it is we can bring in communicated to the right person, it is understandable, it is reliable, it is timely, it is easy to use. We can bring in other terms. It is comparable. It has purpose and it has relevance. Sufficiently complete. We can bring in all of those. You would see your past questions. You see questions that you're asked around that area. And we also explained that accounting have different classes. Well, majorly we have the management accounting and we have the cost or management accounting, as it were, then the financial accounting. When we spend time to differentiate between financial accounting and cost accounting, I'm quite moving fast because that's not what we are supposed to do today. I notice a lot of us have not joined the call before. So we said that financial accounting differs from cost or management accounting from legal requirements. Financial accounting is prepared to meet legal requirements, while cost and management accounting is prepared to meet the needs and demands of the management. Financial accounting is historical in nature, while cost and management accounting is futuristic. We would also say that financial accounting is prepared for external users, while the management accounting is prepared for internal users. The rest of it. So today I would just emphasize, I'm just moving quite fast to cost behavior. That was what we started doing the last time. This topic, however, is broad in the sense that it is from cost and cost behavior that we will now grow into cost estimation. I will not be able to estimate, or I will not be able to estimate a cost or forecast what will be the cost of a particular item if I don't understand the behavior of that cost. So put differently, if I don't know how a star behaves, I cannot predict her behavior should something happens to her. A good example, following the recent saga with Ibom A now, if at all the Ibom A must have knew that, oh, this is how each individual passengers behaves, they would know, they wouldn't trigger, cause do the actions that could trigger that passenger, knowing fully well that that passenger would definitely react in that area. So we cannot predict a cost. We cannot tell about how different costs would behave. We cannot predict that the cost would either be high or it will be low, except we understand the behavior. So that's why first you need to understand the behavior of cost before you can go into predicting, forecasting, or estimating the cost. I hope we are following. Please use thumbs up to show that you're following me. All right, brilliant. So just like it applies to all of us here, if you've been with someone for a while, if you've been with someone for a while, and then you can easily predict what the person will say if you say this. You can easily predict what the person will do if you do this. That is because you have understood the behavior of that person. So that same thing applies with cost. Once you know cost behaviors, you can easily do cost estimation, cost forecast, as the case may be. So when in terms of cost behavior and cost estimation, let's start with cost itself. A recap again, because we already did this. So when we say the cost of an item, we are looking at what we incur in order to get it ready for use or available. What did you incur to get the cost available? Just a second, please. Sorry about that. Let's continue. So the cost of an item we learnt already is made up of material, labor, and overheads. And it is based on that we would say that cost can be classified based on different parameters. Cost can either be classified by type, cost can be classified by function, cost can be classified by behavior. By type implies what makes up the cost of that particular item. So I would say my phone, the cost of my phone being maybe 800,000 or 1 million, cost of iPhone 16 or as the case may be 5 million naira worth. For us to break down how did we arrive at the 5 million, there is an element of material, the components that we use to build up the phone itself, the labor, the amount we paid the laborers that fixed or assembled, put everything together, and then other expenses that are neither material nor labor, probably the transportation of bringing the phone from the warehouse to your hands, all inclusive. That's classification of cost by type. Moving forward, cost might be classified by function. By function, we are looking at what purpose is that cost serving? Is it serving a production related purpose or is it serving a non-production related purpose? If it is serving a production related purpose, that means it is a production cost. If it is a non-production related cost purpose, then it is either a selling, it is a non-production cost, might be a selling or distribution cost or admin cost or finance cost. Away from that, we would say that cost can also be classified by behavior. These are things we did, so I'm doing a recap. Please bear with me because I'm moving quite fast. If I'm moving too fast, you let me know. Is it too fast? If it is not, if it is too fast, use a thumbs down. If it is okay, you use a thumbs up, please. Okay, it's okay. Whoa, Esther Basi. All right, I think these are the people that are just joining us nearly. I'll try and slow down. Okay, thank you for the feedback. All right. So I've mentioned that cost can be classified by type, by function, by behavior. By type, we are looking at the elements of cost. Elements of cost imply what every item is made up of. The cost of every item is made up of material, labor, or overheads. So for us to have stationaries, for us to have anything you see at all, starting from the smallest to the biggest thing, there's a material component, there's a labor, and there's an overhead. That's the classification of cost by type. Then we move forward to say cost classification by function. It is either it is related to manufacturing or it is not manufacturing. By manufacturing is synonymous with production, or it is non-production or non-manufacturing. So if it is production, that means it relates to items that we spent in the factory. In the factory. So if it is factory related, that means it flows back to our material or our type classification. Non-production costs is other costs that they don't produce the material finish. The money we dey pay keep for selling and distribution, that one is not related to production. We don't produce item finish before we come incur other expenses. Okay, while admin cost is there, focusing on what is spent in the HR, accounts department, and the rest of it. Finance cost is also non-production related. what you spend in your bank loans, loan interest, overdraft, and the rest. Those are all non-production related costs. But we'll emphasize more here when we want to speak about the classification of costs based on behavior, because this will lead to cost estimation. Let me take a break and then give examples. I want to produce donuts. Classification of the cost that I will incur based on type would be flour, the oil, the milk. Do you use milk to produce donuts? Everything that you use, sugar, egg, everything that we will use to mix up, that makes up the material cost. So if I say I'm producing donuts, the material cost for the donut will be, you list all those things, flour, oil, everything that is material. Now I have to pay somebody that is doing the mixing and everything. The amount I'm paying that person is the labor cost. Other expenses might be items other than material or labor. A good example is I'm paying lighting. Lighting. I'm paying lighting for my space that I'm using. I'm paying energy cost, the utility bill, all of those things in the factory that I'm producing the donuts. There are other expenses. The utility bill I paid for me running the factory, it is not material, it is not labor. So that means it is the other expenses, or what it is called overheads. Moving further, the same donut, I want to classify cost by function here. I now say, what was the classification of cost by function in the case of the donut? Production related, non-production related. I bought flour, I bought milk, I bought oil. All of those things are expenses that I'm incurring inside the factory. That is production cost. Away from that, non-production cost. I finished producing the donut. The donut no go sell themselves as in day. We have to move forward and then look at how do we transport the donut, carry it outward. How do we advertise? We go to Channels TV and start discussing that we have the best donut produced here. We go to other adverts, all of those things. Those are selling, distribution, advertisement, delivery van cost, all of them, marketing, commission, all of everything that you can call related to selling and distribution. That is a non-production cost. Maybe I got bank loan to buy the materials I use and I'm paying interest on that loan. That amount of money is finance cost, is non-production related. Okay, let's proceed. I'm sure with that we've understood all those classifications. Let's move quite fast. Classification of cost based on behavior now. We are now saying that cost behaves differently. There are some costs that remains constant over a period of time. There are some costs that varies. So a cost that remains constant is called a fixed cost. So fixed costs are those costs that remains the same in total, regardless of changes in activity level. You'll be hearing these languages. So for some of us that joined the class previously, you've heard this language before. So a cost that does not change, it remains the same despite changes in activity level, despite the fact that we are producing 50 items, that cost still remains the same. I produce only 2 items, the cost still remains the same. I produce 5,000 items, the cost still remains the same. That cost is called a fixed cost. We'll give examples. So the amount of money I paid as rent, same donut factory. I paid rent maybe a full year rent. In January, I produced only 50,000 donuts. The rent I paid will not change. Things like that. I bought my generating set, 50 million naira. I produced 50 items. The amount I used to buy that generating set will not change. However, at the flip side, there is another cost called variable cost. that cost would increase as the quantity of production increases and will decrease as the quantity of production decreases. In the last class, we showed graphs in which we were able to tell that these are the effects of mm, fixed costs graphically. This is the representation of variable costs graphically as well. We did all those illustrations in the last class, and I'm pretty sure we will be able to proceed and show. I'll share my screen eventually in the course of the class, especially when we start the computation. But for everyone that, just to confirm, for everyone that is just joining the class today for the first time, I'm sure you've been carried up to par with everyone now with what I've done so far. Grace John, okay, Rachel, good. Let's proceed then. So we've explained and we know the difference between fixed costs and variable costs. However, I want to say something very important here, that when we say fixed cost remains constant, fixed cost remains constant in total. When we also say variable cost varies, or put differently, variable cost changes as activity level changes. We are only saying that variable cost changes when we are looking at totals, but per unit it is fixed. Let me say that again so that we understand, because it's very important. For me to produce 5,000 items, the fixed costs I incurred remains the same regardless. If I produce 5,000 items, fixed cost remains the same in total. I produce 10,000 items, fixed cost remains the same in total. The example I gave in the donut factory, I have paid 1.2 million naira as rent in my donut factory. And in the first month of the year, I am producing 50,000 donuts. The 1.2 I paid, shared equally for the first month, will remain the same throughout. I produce 50,000 donuts, is the same. I produce 100,000 donuts, it remains the same. So fixed cost is constant in total, regardless of changes in activity level. Fixed cost remains the same in total, regardless of changes in activity level. If you kukuma come sit down now, come dey divide, say total fixed cost divided by number of units, e go change. So fixed cost will change when you are taking it down per unit. No. It will change when you take it down per unit. Fixed cost remains constant in total, regardless of changes in activity level. Please let me be sure you've understood that part that I'm saying. I think I'm quite more relaxed to raise that. Fixed cost remains constant in total, regardless of changes in activity level. Your knowledge of what I'm saying will help you when we do cost estimation, when we want to do high and low method, regression analysis, and the rest of it. Let's proceed. Variable costs at the other side are those costs that will increase as activity level increases. So the emphasis here, Zechariah, you want to say something? Haggai, let me allow you to speak. Haggai, kindly unmute and speak. Okay, I would presume you raise your hands in error. Let me continue. Okay, so variable cost increases in totals as activity level increases. However, fixed cost remains the same in total. Please let's get the logic here. Fixed cost remains the same in total, regardless of changes in activity level. Variable cost increases in total, regardless of increases in total as activity level changes. So if I'm producing 50 items, in the total variable cost would jump up. If I'm producing uh, how many a lesser quantity, it will come down. The higher the quantity I'm producing, the higher the variable cost. The lower the quantity you're producing, the lower the variable cost. That's what it is. Okay, an example again. Let me use the donut factory to give an example. If I produce 5,000 donuts, I will use, let's assume, one bag of flour to produce 5,000 donuts. So flour, the total amount of money I will spend on flour will, assuming without considering a bag of flour is 100,000. So I would have spent total variable cost of 100,000 naira to produce 5,000 donuts. But if I now want to produce 10,000 donuts, my variable cost would also increase in total. So instead of 100,000 naira for one bag of flour, I will now spend 200,000 naira for two bags of flour. So my variable cost increases also in totals. But if I'm going to come down to say how much was the variable cost per donut, that means I'm reducing it down to go and divide. Variable cost per unit will be constant. Because if I'm taking it down, 5,000 flour, 5,000 donuts was as to 100,000 watt flour. So 100,000 divided by 5,000 will give me my variable cost per single unit. I'll work on sharing my screen very soon so that we are writing on the board as we are doing all this talking, and then that will go a very long way. Okay. So I'm sure with this, it is clear that we understand that fixed cost remains the same in total, regardless of changes in activity, but it will differ if you take it down to per unit. Variable cost would increase in total as activity level increases. What we mean by activity level is the same thing as volume of output, as the case may be. We have all the graphical representations. We shared it earlier in the previous class, so we will not spend so much time there. We had mentioned also that there is a concept of semi-variable cost. And in the last class, I gave a lot of synonyms to semi-variable cost. I told you that when you see semi-variable cost, it's the same thing as mixed cost. Semi-variable cost is the same thing as mixed cost, is the same thing as total cost. So when we say mixed cost, it means it has both component of fixed and variable. It is because there is a cost that is mixed that will always give rise to cost segregation. It is when costs are mixed that there is need for you to segregate the cost. Because costs are mixed, there is need for you to segregate and differentiate between which cost is fixed and which cost is variable. Let's proceed. Other classification of cost can be stepped cost, and we can also classify cost as um, being direct or indirect. Before we continue further, do we have any question, comment, or contribution? Because I'm about to move into a very important aspect now. Any comment? Any question? All right, Seta, go ahead, please. Ubi,
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Please, am I being heard?
I can hear you proceed. Thank you.
Okay. In classification of costs, you made mention of types of costs which have to do with the whole of the production cost. So my question is,
I would so much appreciate if you are more audible, please.
okay, let me, I say when you were explaining classification of costs, one of the one of the things you mentioned is a type of cost which has to do with the entire production cost. So my question is it also called cost by nature? Because there's something I'm a bit confused in that way because there are some textbook you see it's been classified as the cost by nature, but I this evening you were calling it type of cost. So I wanted to like you to clarify that.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for that. Yes, it is either called nature. By nature. By nature is synonymous to uh, saying by type. So by nature, we are looking at the physical feature or the characteristics of the cost itself. So by nature is, I think I had mentioned that when you say cost classification by nature is the basic element of cost. It is the just the straightforward approach of what makes up the cost. What is the nature? Is it material? Is it labor? Or is it overhead? I hope that is fine. So I had mentioned that cost can be classified by nature, by function, by
Behavior. Behavior.
behavior, by traceability. That's another one. Traceability. By traceability is it direct or is it indirect? If it is direct, that means I can trace it to a particular production. And so I will now say it is a direct cost. It is a direct cost, and we will say that the total direct cost is prime cost. Are we together? So by direct cost, we are now like, can I trace it to a particular I think in the last class, I'm sure Mr. Philip took this course and then took the topic and then explained this. So direct cost, we can have direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, and we say that the summation, the total of all your direct expenses is called prime cost. Indirect material is those things, is those overheads, costs that are not attributed directly in full to a particular cost unit. So we can say indirect material, indirect labor, indirect expenses. Let me use the donut factory again to explain. The flour that we buy is traceable directly to the donut. So we would now say that the flour is a direct expenses. But if we kukuma now, we go buy waiting not to get hate, say we could fit trace am to the donut. A good example is let me use an example. We buy nylon, we be say we dey use that nylon, carry that nylon put the donut, we carry that nylon put plenty things other than the donut itself. We no go fit carry that nylon come talk say na material wey be direct material. So the material is an indirect material. The nylon itself there will be, it's like a packaging kind of stuff. So it is an indirect material in that instance. Another example is salaries. The mixer, the person where they mix the flour with the ingredients, everything together. That man, if that man no mix that thing, do not know go come out come. So that labor na direct labor. But if we come pay accountant salary, accountant they play that kind of thing where we say you see you dey watch people for TV. Those people where they sit down for TV, they don't just carry themselves and sit down the engineers they where they see. Accountants they play that kind of role. They are auxiliary staff. They help the organization to run. The general manager, they play that kind of role. They help the organization to stay up and running. But they are not in the forefront like the people that are working in the factory. The factory workers are direct laborers. But the guys where they sit down for office, all those admin, HR, accountants, general manager, those guys, their salary na indirect salary. I hope now they get what they talk.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that is it. Traceability. I think that's fine. And then another aspect is one can talk about can I controllability? Can I control the cost? If it is controllable or non-controllable. There are a lot of classifications of cost, and I'm sure we spoke about this extensively. Can you control the cost? By controlling a cost, we will now look at is it a cost that a manager can take uh, uh, take supremacy over in the sense that if the manager can tell if we are to spend more on it or if we are to spend less of it on it. Right. Then if you can also avoid, we have a lot of it. Can you have avoidable cost and unavoidable cost? You see most of these things in in the course of your learning. Okay, so I'm sure we've mentioned the basic items and the basic um, concept that is related to cost. So I'll quickly move into cost estimation because that's where we've taken our topic into. So in the last class, I can remember very well that I introduced us to a method called the high or low method of segregating cost. Is the class too fast? Is the pace too fast? Or it is okay? If it is too fast, use the thumbs down emoji. All right. Cost estimation. I had earlier mentioned that it is because sometimes cost might be merged. We might have fixed cost and variable cost combined together. And at that point, it gives rise to what is termed mixed cost or total cost or semi-variable cost, as you may have it. For instance, now, if I ask you, Esther, how much do you spend every month? You say, Esther will tell me she spends 2 million naira every month. The 2 million naira Esther would mention that she spends every month would have a component of what remains fixed. That means month in, month out. Whether Esther is eating too much this month or is eating too less, she will spend exactly the same amount. We also have a function of a figure, an amount inside the 2 million that would either go up or come down. If Esther stays at home without going out, if Esther eats only one cup of gari, a lot of factors. So, because managers might only reveal costs in totals, in aggregates, in a form that are ambiguous, in a form that have the component of both fixed and variable, there is need for us to learn and know how to dissect and differentiate between what is the variable component of a cost and the fixed component of a cost. You can only do this assessment if only you have varieties of cost and varieties of activity levels. There are two basic methods of doing cost estimation. The first is the high or low method, and the second is the linear regression analysis method. The first is the high or low method, and the second is the linear regression analysis method. The high or low method appears to be straightforward, but some students would always refer to the linear regression analysis method as a straightforward one. Damilare, please mute yourself. Thank you. Now, going forward, the goal of each of these methods, you should always arrive at the same answer, assuming without considering all factors are constant and all figures are correct. You should arrive at the same answer, especially for finding your variable cost per unit. Now, whenever you want to segregate cost, examiner should have given you varieties of total cost and should have also given you varieties of activity levels or production units. Let me take a pause. At this point, and I'm very sure that everyone on the call knows that when you hear the word activity level, it is synonymous with quantity. It is synonymous with volume of output. It is synonymous with activity level. So when you hear say activity level, it's the same thing as volume of output. Quantity produced, total numbers. I hope we get. Now, we are referring to the same thing when we say each of those things. What are the steps involved in each of these methods? If we are picking the first method, high or low method, the high or low method, let me again pause and say that regardless of the methods, you cannot estimate, you cannot segregate costs regardless of the method, whether linear regression analysis or high or low method. Regardless of the method, you will not be able to differentiate, segregate the cost if you don't have varieties. You cannot just use 1 month or one activity levels information to be able to predict and know the variable component in that cost or the fixed component in the cost. So just like I said, Esther, how much do you spend in a month? Esther says 2 million naira. By Esther providing just that information, it is an incomplete information for me to be able to differentiate and know out of the 2 million naira, what is the fixed cost and what is the variable cost. So you need at least two time terminals or two intervals, activity levels, and two intervals, total expenses, before you can start applying any of these methods to estimate cost after you must have segregated the cost. Another thing worthy to mention is that you cannot estimate cost if you've not segregated it. You cannot predict the future cost if you have not segregated to know the fixed component and the variable component. So segregation of cost plays a very keen role because it will help you know what is the fixed component in a cost and what is the variable component in a cost, which will aid you in your forecasting of cost. All right, we are picking the first step, high or low method. Please confirm we can continue. Use the thumbs up to indicate we can continue. I hope everyone is with us like this. Okay. If we can continue, I still want to see more thumbs up emojis. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's proceed. I think we can extend the class longer because I just noticed the time is gone. We started quite late, so we will extend the class. The high or low method for cost segregation. Now, you see this high or low method. It is very necessary that you learn and know it because apart from management accounting, there's a course in front of you called performance management. Performance management, you need the knowledge of management accounting to be able to get it right. And apart from questions coming on this particular topic, high or low method might be a yardstick or an avenue for you to utilize and derive an answer for you to solve some other questions in other topics like cost volume profit analysis and the rest of it in your higher level and even in your foundation level. There is a question under cost volume profit analysis that you will not be able to tell except using the high or low method to segregate the cost. Students, I would always love them to know what we want to do so that they know why it is done the way it is done. When you hear of cost segregation, what do we want to do? We want to differentiate between a cost that has been meshed together. We want to know what component of fixed is inside that cost and what component of variable is inside that cost. Two methods are used, high or low method and regression analysis method. High or low method now, from the name high or low method, it uses two parameters, the highest and the lowest. Its name is high or low method. That means it will work with either the highest or the lowest. However, in this case, when you are working with high or low method, the first step, I think I mentioned these steps in the last class. Did I? If you were in the last class and you are sure you can remember I mentioned it, use the thumbs up. Okay, the Onsinyene Kanon was in the class. Modupe, Folabi, Yusuf, you were in the class. Good. So the starting point is identify the highest and the lowest, both cost and the activity level. Identify the highest and the lowest cost with the activity level. Second, find the difference between that highest and lowest activity level and cost accordingly. Then the step 3 is divide the difference in total cost by the difference in the activity level. Once you have this,
Sir, please take the third step, sir, again.
okay, let me take all the steps again. Using the high or low method, the high or low method uses historical figures. That means you need to get a pattern. I keep on saying you cannot do high or low method if you don't have a pattern history information. Step one, for me to be able to differentiate costs into variable and fixed in high or low method, I need the following steps. Step one, I am to identify the highest activity level and cost. And I'm also to identify the lowest activity level and the lowest cost. So if at all, Esther said, January, I spent 2 million naira. February, I spent 3 million naira. Esther, you're on the call. Please unmute. Let's talk together. Esther
Yes,
Bassett.
sir. Yes, sir.
Good. In January, just do you want to call out the right figures, or you want to use hypothetical figure? Esther, how much did you spend in January?
According to you, sir, 1 million.
Interesting. Brilliant. All right. According to me, you don't want to call it out. Okay. In February,
In February, 1.5 or 1 million as well.
in March,
2 million.
in April,
1 million.
in May,
500,000.
in June,
1.5.
in July.
2 million. 2 million.
Okay. So now, that is an example of data that you will see in high or low method. Examiner will give you an array of data. Some questions can give you up to 12 months. 12 months production data. January, this company produced 500 bags of cement and they spent 3 trillion. In this, they produce in March, like that, different data. Now, they will now tell you, use this information, find the variable cost per unit, find the fixed cost. So what you do is, first step, what is the first step? Identify the highest activity level and the lowest activity level. So if we are looking at a company like Dangote Cement, every month they'll give you the quantity they produced, the amount they spent in total. So just like Esther must have has mentioned different amounts, and we will now say, yes, for this amount that you produce, that you spent, what were the outputs? What were the activity levels? What were the quantity produced? What were the things you were able to produce? So let's assume Esther was producing, say, bottled water. So different months, there are different packs, different quantity of bottled water packs that were produced. So with this data available, you can now start the process of telling what is the exact variable cost per unit and what is the exact fixed cost per unit or in total. Step one, identify the highest, identify the lowest. So from the Esther's data, we can spot that 500,000 was the lowest and then 2 million was the highest. And from every data, please let me note and say this, that you should always place emphasis on the highest, on the activity level. Emphasis should always be on the activity level and not on the cost. Because there are times that you might spend more to produce little. For some of us that must have written the exams before, you understand, must have seen questions that are related to what I'm saying. But your emphasis should be on the activity level. So the activity level that is the highest should be picked. The activity level that is the highest should be picked. So if at all we check all the months, January to July, and it is only in May that so much money was spent, we now have to go to month May. What was the production for that month May in which we incurred the highest activity level? We spent or utilized the highest activity level. That's what will follow. And then we look at the corresponding cost. We now at the same time look at the lowest activity level and pick the corresponding cost. That's the first step. The second step is find the difference between the two of them. Difference between the cost, difference between the activity level. After finding that difference, you divide the difference in cost by the difference in activity level. Whatever is your answer is the variable cost per unit.
Sir, please, I still don't understand the last. You see, you
Step
should
one.
divide. No, I'm okay with step 1 and 2. The third step,
Okay. What is step one? What's your step one?
identify the highest and the lowest cost and the activity level. Then the
What's your step
second,
two?
find the difference between the highest and the lowest accordingly. Then the third one is divide the
Now,
total awards.
for the second step, I would have found the difference between my highest cost and my lowest cost. You understand that? If January gave me 500, if January we spend 5 million and January is the highest, August we spent 1 million and August is the lowest. Are you following me? What is the difference between the highest of 5 and the lowest of 1? The difference is 4, right? So that's the difference in cost. I do the same thing, find the difference in activity level. Whatsoever was my answer being the difference in cost, I divide it by the answer being the difference in activity level, which is step 3. Divide the difference in cost by the difference in activity level. Do you understand now, Theater?
Yes, sir. Very correct, sir.
Good. Now, let me see if I can share my screen. Just a second. Because I didn't mean I was sharing screen, these talks wouldn't have been this very long. Just a second. Okay, so I'm about to do that. That will be very fine. So that we don't do a lot of talk without the action. Now, after that step 3, there is a cost function called y is equal to a plus bx. And we'll just use that cost function and substitute whatsoever is our answer to the formula y is equal to a plus bx. That way, we would construct our linear equation and solve for the variable cost. So I've joined the call now, and that way we would see my screen within the next 5 seconds at most, so that we are talking to the numbers. While we are waiting for that, what is the first step under high or low method?
Identify the highest and the lowest cost and the activity.
What's the second step, please?
Find the differences between the highest and the lowest cost and their activities.
And what's the third step?
Step 3, divide the differences of the costs and the differences of the activity level.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, so at the end of this class, please let's bear with me, or we will extend this class to at least 10:30. But we don't have an issue with that. So that I know I have taken this to a very significant portion. Okay. Just a second. I don't know why it's taking a little bit. Okay, I'm almost there. All right. Just a second, please. So sorry for. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen now. Oh, not yet. Okay, it's not yet up. Okay, just a second. I think I know what is happening. At this point, I really need to have the screen up because if not, we will not be learning computation in abstract. Okay, I think it's almost up now. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're almost there. Sincere apologies for this delay. So let me just use the basic this to do this. Right. Okay, so we've mentioned that step one is step one is for us to identify the highest cost, and we have to also identify the highest volume. Step two is for us to find the difference in our cost and our volume. And then step three is for us to divide the difference in cost by the difference in our volume. Now, let me give us an illustration. Let us assume without, but before I continue, let me confirm. Are we all together? Can we see my screen and we are all proceeding together?
Yes, sir.
So if we have, for instance, these hypothetical figures, we have these hypothetical figures. Let me use a bigger screen. We say January, February, March. We produced 20 liters of fuel, 40 liters of fuel, and we produce, say, 80 liters of fuel at Dangote refinery. For 20 liters of fuel, we use $2,000. These are all in dollars. For 40 liters of fuel, we use $3,000. And then for 80 liters of fuel, we used, say, assuming without conceding, $6,000. I hope we are following. What do we do? What is step one from what we have learned?
Identify costs and the highest cost and
The highest and the lowest cost. What is the highest cost?
$6,000.
$6,000.
$6,000.
$6,000.
So this appears to be the highest for the month of March. Now, the next question was to identify the
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 lowest.
lowest,
lowest. What is that lowest?
January.
$2,000.
$2,000, which is in um,
January.
January. We work with that. Okay. Let me highlight that. Now, if we want to continue, we say highest step one. Step one is highest activity level, highest cost, lowest. We start with say cost and activity level. What's the highest cost? We said that the highest cost is 6,000, right?
Yes, $6,000.
We indicate here as say 6,000. What's the lowest? We said the lowest was what?
$2,000.
$2,000.
$2,000.
Please bear with my handwriting. I hope you can still see it.
Yes,
The
sir.
highest activity level is what?
80 liters.
So here was 80 liters, and here was
20
20.
20 liters.
liters.
What's the difference between the cost and the highest cost and the lowest cost?
$4,000.
$4,000.
And what's the difference between the
60,
um
60
60
and
liters.
okay 60 liters here. These are all in liters. Well, here is in dollars. Now, what was the third step?
Divide the difference in cost by the difference in activity level.
To define the differences of cost divided by the difference of volume of activity.
Okay. Difference in cost by the difference in activity level. So what will be our difference here? What we'll simply do here is simply difference in cost. What's the difference in cost? 4,000
4
$4,000.
divided by
divided by
60
60
liters.
liters.
60 divided by 60 liters,
brilliant.
which is 66.67.
Okay. 4,000 divided by 60. And your answer is
66 points.
66.67.
$66.67.
okay.
$68.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have $4,000 divided by 60 liters. You said that was 60.
$6.67 per unit.
Ibu di Bangkok.
Now, that was a simple illustration, but I will have to solve it to the end. $4,000 divided by 60, 66.67. Now, I told us that the next step says that there is a formula called y is equal to a plus bx. And we said that y is our total cost. A is our fixed cost. And B is whatsoever is your variable cost per unit, which we have found here. Please note that the difference, step 3 that says difference in cost all over your difference in your volume or activity level is simply given by B. This B is difference in cost divided by difference in activity level. So whatsoever is your answer here is what is here as B. I hope we are following.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So is the same thing as, put differently, is the same thing as saying B is equal to difference in cost all over difference in a volume.
Volume.
And it's the same thing as I was saying 4,000 divided by 60. And we have had the answer as 66.67. So you now substitute this into y is equal to a plus bx. Are we following?
Yes, sir. We are following.
Good. And we can follow up, and then this should be a duplicate slide. All right. We can follow up and then say from here that our B, when we say y is equal to a plus bx, is simply shown as y is equal to a plus bx. Y is our total cost. We've explained that. Now you can substitute y for either the highest activity level or the lowest activity level. Now, y is total cost. What was the total cost in the question? The total cost, we had total cost that differed between 2,000 and we had total cost that was also 3,000. We had total cost that was 6,000. Can we remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me make notes of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we had instances where we had January was 2,000, February was 3,000, March was this. So I'm saying that you can either substitute the total cost for the highest or the lowest. So which of them are we substituting for?
Let's go for the highest.
For the
The
highest.
highest.
And what was the total cost in that case?
$6,000.
$6,000.
6,000. So we'll have $6,000 is equal to A. We don't know because we are trying to find A. We know B. We know all the formulas, but we don't know A. B is found as 66.67.
7.
into X. X is
X.
our volume of activity. Remember, I define all of this here. That B is your answer in step
Three.
3.
Three.
Yes. And your X is volume of activity. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
From the formula, Y is equal to A plus BX. B is this. A is your fixed cost that you don't know. I'm going to do a recap extensively. X is your activity level, and we have explained over time that Y is your total cost. Is there anyone that is not following me? Please use a thumbs down. Let me do a recap so far. Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. 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 I'm going to do a recap completely so that everybody is on the. I really need this feedback. I thought you people would be saying it out, but it's good I asked, and it's good you have shared your positive view. I'm going to speak about it extensively. Let me take a pause and explain it completely. So we started with this question. Did you follow the steps that were involved, like I shared? I gave a 3 steps. I gave it 3 steps. Let me start there because I think that's the starting point. Once you get that, you will be able to get everything. I said that using the high or low method requires 3 steps. Step 1, the first step, is identify what is the highest and also identify what is the lowest in terms of cost and volume. In terms of cost and volume. Have we followed that point? Have everybody gotten the first step?
Yes, sir.
Good. We had this question. Can we see this question? This was just an hypothetical question. We said in January, these people produce this quantity of liters. In liters. This one, they spent this amount of money in dollars. January, February, March. 20 liters at 2,000. 40 liters at 3,000. 80 liters, they spent 6,000. We said first step says identify the highest among this list. We just have only 3 items here. Identify the highest. What is the highest? Everybody said that the highest is 80 liters at $66,000. Have everybody agreed to that? Good.
Yes, sir.
We now went forward to say the next thing was don't just identify high, identify low also. So we said, what is the lowest? The lowest is 20,000, 20 liters. The lowest is 20 liters. While the highest was 80. When I run the catch rating, I do. Hello, my people. Good.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
Yeah,
sir.
we do, sir.
The second step is find the difference between the highest and the lowest. Now, we do so for this gram. That difference What is the highest? We've been keep cost this side, keep volume this side. We find the difference. We find the difference. We say what was the highest? 6,000. What was the lowest? 2,000.
6,000.
What's the difference? This minus this. Now
4,000.
4,000 we get. This minus this for this side. Now waiting.
That is 60 liters.
60 liters. Everybody don't catch them till that time.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my people.
We are with you, sir.
Good. We went forward and said the next step was this thing. We say that was step 3. Divide the difference in cost by the difference in volume. What was that difference in cost? See that thing here. Difference in cost.
4,000.
Difference
4,000.
in volume. 60.
60 liters.
We carry that thing, come keep am for this place. We say, you that 4,000, come dey here. You the 60, come sit down here. What is the difference now? Difference in cost, we drop am. Difference in activity and quantity, 60. Now so we find this B. Say na him be the variable cost per unit. Is there anybody wey no catch wetin we don do now? If you no still catch am, dey free. Open your mouth, talk. Abi you show by the down, the hands down, the emoji where the face down.
It's understood, sir.
Those people wey been dey put down emoji, I want more na talk now before we continue. If na to find only this variable cost wey we wan do now, when we do am, may everybody know say they know how to do variable cost per unit before we proceed. I don't dey miss people wey been use down emoji. Yusuf, no, is it Yusuf? Yeah, I think it's Yusuf also. Esther also was using a down energy. Handling. Are you okay now? Basiru? Right.
I am okay, sir.
Okay. So that is what we have just done. When we end this class, I want you people to go do a series, all the questions. Just get the steps right. Find the highest, find the lowest. You've seen how I kept this. Find the difference between highest and lowest, find the difference here, and then you what you get automatically is the variable cost per unit. And you use that variable cost per unit and substitute. We were working with highest activity level. In this case, the highest activity level was the total cost for Y in highest activity level was 60,000. We are proceeding up to this point. Let me take it gently so that everybody understand. We want to substitute this formula now. We don't find B. We don't catch waiting B. We said that B is 66.67. How we get this 66.67? Now from this calculator, where we do. Everybody know this one, right? Good.
Yes, sir.
So we don't see B as 66.67. We don't know this A. That is what we are looking for. X here implies activity level. There was a place I gave that breakdown. Look at that place here. We said that X is the activity level and A is fixed cost that we don't know. Y is the total cost. Total cost. And we all agreed that I should work with the highest activity level. By working with highest activity level, we mean that we are working with this particular mama, this bash. that the highest activity level was 80 liters and the highest cost was 6,000 liters. If I'm too fast, you tell me and then I'll go back. So that's why we are working with this 6,000 liters because that is the highest activity. You don't see this activity level, this 6,000 liters. That's what we are using here, 6,000 as the total cost. So what am I going to use here as X? Anybody? What will be my X over here?
80.
80 liter.
All right.
F is
So
going to be 80.
solve it at 80 and tell me what is your A. Oh yeah, oh, I've stopped sharing my screen. Solve it and tell me. Did you people write it down from what we were doing?
No, sir.
Interesting. Nobody was writing it down.
We were writing it down, but I actually raised my hand, but you've not seen the hand.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead and ask.
Okay, for this Y, you say you can substitute A or the highest, the lowest or the highest, which means we might either use the 600 or which one? Which one was the lowest here? Or the $200, the $2,000. Am I right?
Yes, please.
Well, that is what I want to know.
You can use the highest or
Or
you
the
can use.
lowest. Okay, better. Understood, sir. Thank you very much.
Can you see my screen now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are saying that the highest is 6,000. So we are using 6,000. And then A is what we don't know. A is what we are looking for.
Yeah.
We've known B to be 66.67. And then our X will be 80, right?
Yes.
So what is your A when you solve it down? What's the answer?
1.12.
What did you say?
A is
$1.12.
$4. Hello, sir.
Go ahead.
A is $656.4.
600 and
$56.4.
it cannot be 600 and your fixed cost cannot be greater than your total cost. So whatever your answer is should be less than the total cost.
A is 89.9.
Wait, where is it?
Yes. Esther, what will be your A?
11.24.
Is it because we're having different calculators? Is that why it is giving us different answers? Someone should unmute and talk us through what you did. We have on the screen now.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, what I did was that I multiplied 66.67 with the
By
80, which is our volume.
what did you have at that point?
I have 5,333.6
Good.
plus A, that's 5,333.6A. Then
66.67 times 80. Okay.
yes,
All right. Go ahead.
plus A. So we have 6,000 equal to 5,333.6A. So we are going to divide the 6,000 by the coefficients of A, which is 5,333.6.
Divide. At what point do you want to divide? Is it coefficients? Do we have any coefficients of A at this point?
We are already having the A plus the 5,333.6.
Is it to divide? Is that the right mathematics approach at that point?
No, we're going to minus.
You collect like terms. I think that's the right thing to do, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead now.
That's 6,000 minus 533.
And your A would now be
And the answer was
666.
666.24.
666.4, right?
0.4. Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, 66.4.
this was just an hypothetical question that I brought out. And from what we have found now, let me say something. Let me take a pause and be sure that everybody is fully. Is there anybody that have not? Olamide, your hands is up. Go ahead.
Okay, that was when I wanted to, sorry. When I wanted to talk about the subtraction, that how I got my 666.4.
Okay, so we would have to take a separate time, and once we start the class, I want to solve practical questions on this, like a lot of questions. So I can exams questions as well on this. This is just an hypothesis. This was just one hypothetical question that was used, but I'm surprised it took this long. But at the same time, let me do a talk down on everything that we have done so that I know that at least we've understood what we've done. So we shared the whole of this. Can you see this? This was the question. Can you see my screen? Hello.
Yes, we can see us.
Yes, yes, we can.
This was the question. I want to reiterate and recap what we've done. This was the hypothetical question. We said in January, these guys produced 20 liters of an item for 2,000 naira. In February, they produced 40,000 for 20 liters in January, 40 liters in February, 80 liters in March. I started by saying that we have a problem of having the need to segregate costs whenever cost is given to us in totals, whenever cost comes in a form that is mixed. When we have this challenge, we use two methods to segregate costs, either the high or low method or the regression analysis method. Our emphasis was on the high or low method. By using the high or low method, I hope we are all following me. Please, at any point I am too fast, please do well to uh, tell me to hold on because it's very important. Good. Using the high or low method implies following some steps, and that step would imply number one, identify the highest and the lowest activity level. What is the highest cost here? What is the highest activity level here? We said that in the month of March, of all these liters, 20, 40, 80, 80 is the highest. So that is the highest liters. It gives to the corresponding cost being 6,000 as the highest cost. When you finish identifying highest, the next thing you are to identify is lowest. What is the lowest cost from the array? We only have 3 here. Some questions you have 12 or more. So the lowest cost here is 20, leading to the lowest cost in dollars as 2,000. So the next step is find the difference between the highest and the lowest. We found that difference by saying 6,000 minus 2,000 to give us 4,000. 80 liters minus 20 liters to give us 60 liters. Are we following? The next step was difference in cost divided by difference in the volume or activity level. What was our difference in cost here? 40,000, 4,000. What was the difference in activity here? 60. That is what we did here to have 66.67. Is there anybody that did not follow up to that point? Destiny, Deborah, ask the questions.
Sir, sorry to have cut you short, sir. I wanted to say this. I got the answer, sir, while you were doing the solving, sir.
Okay.
Yes, my answer here is 667.2. Okay. The reason why is as if we are arriving at gross answers is because we approximated the different the reason why we got gross answer because we approximated the 66.66 to 66.67. We are meant to use that what was it called we got that's 66.66 to work on how to get y equals to a plus bx, which I did here. 6,000 minus 80 times 66.66. I got
Why did you use
666.8.
66? Let's start with that point. Why did you use 66?
Sir?
Why did you use 66 instead of 67?
I didn't approximate it, sir, because approximating it will give me a higher figure. It will not correspond.
Do you have any reason for
if
not
we should check,
approximating 67?
Yes, the reason why I didn't approximate is because if I should go back and recheck both activity level and the cost, I might not get the same thing. But to make sure I get my answer right, I was able to cross-check again. I discovered that both answers were correct. The first one, which is 6,000 minus 80 times 66.6, I got 666.8. The second one is 2,000 minus 20 times 66.6. I got 667.2. So the first one is 6.8, approximately 667.
Okay. Now, please note this. Whenever you are from your basic mathematics, whenever you have an answer that is more than 0.5, right? It's from 0.5 upward. What do you do?
Approximate.
So ICANN does not exclude our basic knowledge of accounting, of mathematics. Your steps are marked in ICANN exams, not your final answer. What you are doing, the step, is what is marked for you. ICANN does not jump to the answer to mark the final answer alone. Somebody saying you can't hear me clearly. Alice Can every other person hear me clearly? Okay. Please try and check if it is your network, because I think a good portion, numbers of participants can hear me clearly. Destiny, please go ahead. Destiny, are you the one talking now?
Yes, but there's a question I would like to ask, sir.
Go ahead.
Approximation, sir, working, sir. Is it necessary? Because though you've just said something about it, you said ICANN does not mark
Your
the answers,
workings
they mark.
are more important than your answers in ICANN exams. Your workings are more
Okay.
important than your answers. That's why even in your preparation of financial statements, your workings forms integral part. Even if you pick up in financial statement, we call it notes to the account. The notes to the account forms an integral part of the account.
Okay. So
That
which
is where the
clearly,
figures form. Where that is where we derive the figures to prepare the account. So your workings are very important, and you have to show them clearly.
okay.
Deborah,
Okay.
is Destiny? Are you okay now?
Yes, thank you, sir.
No problem. Don't worry. I will have the time. We'll address all your concerns. Deborah, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, sir. My question is about the hypothetical question that we just solved. Okay, here we have like the proportion of what's being produced is like like just direct to the cost that is actually being incurred. Is it possible that we have a situation where the cost that is being incurred is actually not directly proportional to what is
Definitely.
being produced? Say
Definitely.
like February now, where we have $3,000 cost being incurred, is it possible for us to have these 80 liters of volume of product being produced here? Like, can we have it like in a negating way like that, where the volume is actually way more than the cost that is being incurred? And then we have in another place, this place where we incurred $6,000. Is it possible to have this 40 liters of products being produced in that kind of
Yeah.
scenario?
So yes, thank you very much for that. That's brilliant. If you listen keenly to when I explained that whenever we want to identify the highest activity level and highest cost, always pay attention to the activity level, because um, it is not in all cases that costs would be growing progressively with the activity level. It is just coincidental here that when I produce 2,000, I spend less. When I produce 40,000, I spend a little bit higher. When I produce 80,000, I spend the highest. Next questions that we will look at would be instances where you would see producing 20 liters was 2,000. Producing 40 liters might become lesser because of some other factors, yeah, economics factors like economics of scale, and the rest of it can set in, and learning
Like
curve, learning
diminishing
effect.
returns, something like that.
So you can have instances where 40,000 liters is now produced at 1.5. Yes, you see exams question like that. And you can also
All
have
right, thank
instances where 80 liters is now produced at a lower price. So pay attention to the activity level. Okay. I hope that
All
answers
right,
your
thank
question.
yes, sir.
Mm, let me check if there is any other hands up. Uchechi, please unmute and speak. Lamide, go ahead.
Sorry, sir, it was a mistake, sir.
All right.
Okay, just what the other lady has Deborah, I think. I want to ask, so in that case, which should we choose? Like if the activity is high and the cost is low, are we going with the highest activity and
Always
making it the
pick
highest.
always pick the highest activity level and the lowest activity level. And whatsoever is the cost that
Okay.
in the whatsoever is the corresponding cost for what you picked, you bring it down. Whatsoever is the corresponding cost, you bring it down and then you work with it. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
All
So
right, that
is that means we can cost in our differences?
yeah, it will give you a good difference. In the course of our session, in the course of our sessions, I will definitely bring up a question like that so that you solve it and then we solve it together and then we see the impact, the difference.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I've mentioned that after you substitute this to solve, what you find, this our 66.67 represents variable cost per unit. This formula is used to find the variable cost per unit. And remember, I've said over and over that total cost is constant in total, but variable cost increases in total as activity level changes. But variable cost will remain constant when we are looking at per unit. So our 66.67 is the variable cost per unit, which remains constant. And you would use it to substitute in the cost function. The formula y is equal to bx. A plus bx is the cost function, is a cost function. And it has been proven to be right because y is total cost and total cost would be given by your fixed cost, which is A, plus your variable cost, which is y is equal to A plus bx. All right, so this is what we've done, and we substituted this and we got the answer. So at this point, I believe that everyone on the call today have learned how to find variable cost per unit using the high or low method. But I know that you people have not gotten full grips. So please do well to go back, look at series of questions on it. It's 10:30 already. I don't want to delay you people further. We will meet again. When we meet again, we'll not move to the next topic. We'll have to look at it again, look at how we can solve more questions, bring up examinable questions. This was just the basic. Like, please, I can't. There are no two ways. I can't tell lies. This is the simplest stuff. In fact, it is good that even at points, if it was hypothetical, I would have just ensured that it is just giving me 20, and then we would have just gone without having the point issue. So please do well to, as you get back, review whatever study. I'm pretty sure I spoke to some colleagues and some extended members with ICANN. So study packs should be out very soon. Will be out very soon. They are working very hard on ensuring that comes out as soon as possible since the exams is close, so that you can review, reach out to relevant study materials that you have. Look out for cost behavior, cost estimation, and cost segregation, cost segregation and cost estimation. Look out for it and then look at how questions are solved. Drop questions on the group. Myself will be there to answer. Mr. Philip will be there, and you have other students as well that are there to answer, or you raise it when we have classes. I wish you people the very best. At this point, I will call for questions again, or um, comments and contribution for the class. If we have none, then at that point we might call it a wrap. Let's get thank you. I've seen all your emojis, Lamide, Yusuf, and the rest of you. Thank you very much, Esther Bassi. And I'm sure you've gotten value for the class. Any comments? Okay, I'm trying to read your in-call messages, but anyone can unmute and speak.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Well done.
Yes, sir. Okay. Why using the highest method? Can we also use the low method and then arrive at the same answer?
Don't call it low method. Say the highest activity level. If you can also use the lowest activity level, yes, you can use it.
Okay, we can use that. See, arrive at the
Arrive
same
the
answer.
same at the same answer. Yes, please. Assuming you
Okay,
did
all
it
right. Thank you.
correctly.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Sorry,
Any
sir.
further?
I made use of the lowest activity level, and I did not not like I did not really assume arrive at the same answer. I had 66.4 in the highest and 666.6 in the lowest. There is a
Okay, so
difference
that
of 2. Is it
0.2.
2%? If I should say 0.2, yes.
Are you sure you've taken it? Is there any other person that have had that challenge? .4 and 0.2.
0.6, sorry.
If your fixed cost was 66.4 in
Yes, for
the
the highest activity level, and
yes, and what was your fixed
666.6 in the lowest.
in the lowest activity level?
Yes.
Okay, I would have loved to solve that, but let me talk me through what you've done. Go ahead.
So I used 2,000 naira as the lowest cost, equals to A plus 66.67, which is the variable cost, and 20, which is the lowest activity level. Then 66.67 times 20 will give you 1,333.4. Then I
Okay,
also collected light
continue.
terms, and that was how I arrived at the 666.6.
66.67 times 20,
20,
right?
yes.
Will give you what?
1,333.4.
And when you collected like terms, what was your total cost for 20 liters?
2,000.
Okay, I get you. All right, so like I mentioned, this was an hypothetical question. So if there are any variance, it shouldn't be, it's not material. It's 0.2, right?
Yes.
So differentials wouldn't be material. They were hypothetical questions that I just brought out to start from simple to complex to explain the concept of segregation of costs.
Okay, thank you, sir.
A typical exams question, you wouldn't have any differences. All right. Thank you, Esther. It showed you've paid keen attention to what we've done. For me, Lola, any other comments, contribution? If none, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the very best in your preparations. Like I would
Amen.
say, nothing worthwhile is easy, and the certificate is not something that is not worthwhile. it is worthwhile. So it is worth your time. Give it your time. If you have any issue, do well to reach out on the group chat. If you've hated this topic before in your first degree, don't hate it. This is time for you to show love to the topic, and then there's nothing that you are determined to get that you won't get. The best thing that you can do to yourself now is to sit back, prepare, solve all the questions you would ever see on high or low method. Where you have challenges, bring it to class or relate it to the group, and it will be treated. Thank you. It's a wrap from me from this side. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, sir.